Hi, Mia. It's good to see you today. I feel like I have so many things to tell you.
Hi, Lucas. I was just thinking the same thing. So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, today, I want to talk about something we don't usually talk about, our hometowns.
Oh, I like that. Tell me about your hometown.
My hometown? That's actually a good question. I grew up in a city in Brazil, and it's not one of those cities everybody knows. But when I talk about it, I always have a lot of stories.
That's exactly what I want to hear. What is it like?
It's a pretty busy city, but it doesn't feel busy all the time. There are some areas with lots of traffic and people everywhere, especially downtown. But there are also quiet neighborhoods where you can walk around and barely see anyone.
So, you have both sides.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things I like about it. You can have a really busy morning and then a few streets away, everything feels calm.
What was your neighborhood like when you were growing up?
My neighborhood was pretty simple. We had a small market, a bakery, a pharmacy, and a few little stores. There was also a small square nearby.
A square?
Yeah, a little public square with trees and benches. Nothing amazing, but it was important to us when we were kids.
What did you do there?
We played soccer, talked with friends, rode our bikes, and sometimes just sat around doing absolutely nothing.
Doing nothing is an important part of growing up.
Exactly. And somehow we were very busy doing nothing.
That sounds familiar.
There was also a bakery near my house that I really loved. My friends and I used to go there after school.
For snacks?
Of course, we were teenagers. We weren't going there to discuss the economy.
What did you usually get?
Usually something simple, a sandwich, a pastry, maybe a juice. But the funny thing is, I remember the conversations more than the food.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we would sit there for an hour talking about school, music, sports, girls, movies, anything. We didn't have smartphones like people have today, so we actually had to talk to each other.
That's dangerous.
Very dangerous. We had to survive without checking our phones every 30 seconds.
How did you survive?
Honestly, I don't know.
So when you think about your hometown, do you think about the city itself or the people?
I think mostly about the people. The city is important, of course, but the memories are connected to the people I knew there.
I agree. Sometimes you can visit a beautiful place, but if you don't have good memories there, it doesn't feel special.
Exactly. And that's something I've realized as I've gotten older. When I was a kid, I didn't think my hometown was special. It was just home.
And now?
Now I see it differently. When I visit, I notice little things, the streets I used to walk on, the old stores, the bakery, even some buildings that I never paid attention to before.
Have many things changed?
Oh, definitely. Some places disappeared, new stores opened, some streets look completely different, and some places still look exactly the same.
That's funny. A hometown can change a lot and still feel familiar.
That's exactly how I feel. I can go back after a long time, walk down the same street, and suddenly remember something from when I was 12.
Like what?
Well, there was one street where my friends and I used to race our bikes. We thought we were professional cyclists.
Were you good?
Absolutely not. We were terrible.
But you believed you were professionals.
We had confidence. That's what matters.
That's one way to describe it.
And I think that's what makes a hometown special. It's not always the biggest city, the best restaurants, or the most famous attractions. Sometimes it's just a street, a bakery, a park, or a place where you spent a lot of time with people you cared about.
I like that. And now I'm curious about something else. You told me about your neighborhood, your friends, and that bakery, but you haven't told me what your hometown is actually like today. So let's talk about that. What would I see if you took me there now?
The first thing you'd probably notice is how different the city feels depending on where you are. If we started downtown, you'd see lots of people, stores, restaurants, buses, and cars everywhere.
So it can get pretty busy?
Very busy, especially in the morning and late afternoon. But I actually like walking downtown sometimes. There's always something happening.
What kind of places would you take me to?
I'd probably take you to one of the older parts of the city. There are small stores and restaurants that have been there for years. They're not fancy, but they have a lot of personality.
I like places like that. You can usually find better stories there than in big shopping malls.
Exactly. There's a little restaurant I used to go to with my family. It wasn't famous, but the food was really good.
Was it close to your neighborhood?
Yeah, it was. My parents knew the owners, so we'd always end up talking for a while before we even ordered.
That sounds like the kind of place where everyone knows everyone.
Pretty much. And that's one thing I remember about my hometown. People were very social. You could go out to buy something and end up talking to someone you knew.
Did you like that?
Most of the time, yes, although it could be a problem when I was in a hurry.
I can imagine.
I'd be walking down the street thinking, I have 5 minutes to get there. Then I'd see someone I knew.
And 5 minutes became 30.
Exactly. I'd stop to say hello, we'd start talking, and suddenly I'd realize I was late.
That's a very familiar problem.
It was part of life there.
What about the weather? What's your hometown like throughout the year?
It can get really hot in the summer. There are days when you walk outside and immediately want to find some air conditioning.
I know that feeling.
But when the weather's nice, people spend a lot more time outside. Parks get busy, cafes put tables outside, and families go for walks.
Does your hometown have many parks?
There are a few good ones. There's one near the center that I used to visit with my friends. We would play soccer there or just sit around and talk.
So you spent a lot of time outside when you were younger.
I did. I think that's one thing I miss sometimes. We didn't need much. We'd just meet somewhere and figure out what to do.
That's different from how people spend their free time now.
Definitely. We didn't have a group chat to organize everything. Someone would just show up at your house and say, "Are you coming?"
And you had to decide right there.
Exactly. There was no, "Let me check my calendar."
That sounds both simpler and slightly chaotic.
It was definitely chaotic.
What would you show me if I visited your hometown for just one afternoon?
I'd start with lunch. You can't visit my hometown without trying some local food.
Good answer. Where would we go?
I'd take you somewhere that locals actually like, not necessarily the most famous restaurant. I'd rather show you a place where people from the city go all the time.
I like that. You can learn a lot about a place through its food.
Exactly. After lunch, we'd walk around downtown. I'd show you some of the older streets and a few places that have been there for years.
And then?
We'd probably stop for coffee. I know myself.
Of course you do.
Then I'd take you somewhere quieter, maybe a park or a nice area where we could just walk around.
So you wouldn't try to show me everything in one afternoon?
No, I'd rather show you a few places and have time to enjoy them.
I agree. When I travel, I don't always want to visit famous attractions. I like seeing how people actually live.
Same here. I want to know where people have coffee, where they shop, where they meet friends, and what they do on a normal weekend.
That's when a city starts to feel real.
Exactly. A hometown isn't just the famous places, it's the little places people visit every week.
Like your old bakery.
Exactly. That bakery probably wouldn't appear in a tourist guide, but I'd still take you there.
Do you still go there when you visit?
Sometimes. I actually went back a few years ago after being away for a long time.
Was it still the same?
Not really. The tables were different, the menu had changed, and the place looked much smaller.
Smaller?
Yeah, but I think I was the one who had changed. When you're a kid, everything seems bigger.
That's true. I had the same experience with places from my childhood.
The funny thing is, I still recognized the smell as soon as I walked in.
That's amazing. Sometimes one little detail can bring everything back.
It really can. I stood there for a moment and remembered all those afternoons with my friends.
I love that about hometowns. You can leave, grow up, and change your life, but some places still take you straight back to another time.
Yeah, and there's one place in my hometown that does that more than anywhere else. It's probably the place I miss the most.
Now I really want to know what place that is.
The place I miss the most is probably the park near my old neighborhood. I spent so much time there when I was younger that it almost feels like another home.
What did you usually do there?
Pretty much everything. I played soccer with my friends, rode my bike, and sometimes we'd just sit on a bench and talk for hours.
Sounds like you didn't need much to have a good time.
We really didn't. We'd meet in the afternoon and nobody had a plan. Someone would bring a soccer ball, someone else would bring a bike, and we'd figure out the rest.
That's a very different kind of childhood.
It was, and there was always someone we knew at the park. Even if we went there just to play soccer, we'd end up talking to other people.
Did you usually go there on weekends too?
All the time. On weekends, the park was much busier. Families would bring food, kids would play, and people would walk their dogs.
That sounds nice.
It was. There was also a small lake nearby, and that's where things got interesting.
Interesting how?
Well, my friends and I used to think we were much better at fishing than we actually were.
You went fishing.
We tried. That's an important difference.
So you weren't exactly professionals.
Not even close. We would sit there for an hour, staring at the water, waiting for something to happen.
Did you ever catch anything?
Once. and it was so small that we weren't even sure it counted.
But I'm sure you celebrated.
Of course, we acted like we'd caught the biggest fish in the lake.
That's exactly what kids do.
Looking back, those were some of the best afternoons. We didn't have anywhere important to be. We just had time.
I think that's something adults don't have enough of anymore.
Definitely. When you're a kid, an afternoon feels incredibly long. You can spend 3 hours doing almost nothing and still feel like you have the whole day ahead of you.
And when you're an adult, 3 hours disappear before you even realize it.
Exactly. Sometimes I look at the clock and think, how is it already 8 o'clock?
That's adulthood.
Unfortunately.
So, what about the city center? Did you spend much time there when you were younger?
Not as much when I was a kid, but as I got older, I started going there more often. That's when I discovered some of the places I still like today.
Like restaurants?
Restaurants, cafes, bookstores, and little shops. There was one street that became a favorite place for my friends and I.
What was special about it?
It had a little bit of everything. There was a coffee shop on one corner, a bookstore across the street, and a small restaurant at the end of the block.
That sounds like a good afternoon.
It was. We'd usually start with coffee and somehow spend much longer there than we planned.
You seem to have a pattern.
I do. Apparently, I enjoy sitting in cafes and losing track of time.
At least you're consistent.
Very consistent.
Did your hometown have much nightlife?
It depended on what you wanted to do. There were some bars and restaurants, but it wasn't a huge nightlife city.
So, what did people do at night?
A lot of people went out for dinner or met friends at cafes. On weekends, some places got pretty busy.
Were there any nightclubs?
There were a few, but I was never really into them. I preferred quieter places where you could actually talk.
I agree. It's hard to have a conversation when the music is louder than your thoughts.
Exactly. You spend the whole night saying, "What?" and "Sorry, I didn't hear you."
And then you go home exhausted.
That's not my idea of a relaxing evening.
So your hometown sounds like a good place for someone who likes a quieter lifestyle.
I think so. It's not perfect, of course. Every city has traffic, crowded places, expensive restaurants, and things people complain about.
Of course.
But when you grow up somewhere, you learn how to enjoy the good parts. You know where to go, where to avoid, where to get good food, and which places are worth visiting.
You basically have your own personal map of the city.
Exactly. And it's not just a map of streets, it's a map of memories.
I like that.
You can look at a street and remember your first job. You can walk past a restaurant and remember a birthday. You can see a park and remember your friends from school.
Suddenly, the city becomes much more personal.
That's how I feel about it. Someone visiting might see a normal street. I see 10 different memories.
I think that's what makes a hometown different from any other place.
Yeah, and there's one thing I haven't told you yet. There's a part of my hometown that I didn't appreciate at all when I was younger.
What is it?
The food. I didn't realize how good it was until I started traveling and living in other places.
Now that's a conversation I want to hear. What kind of food did you grow up eating?
The food. I didn't realize how good it was until I started traveling and living in other places.
What kind of food did you grow up eating?
A lot of simple Brazilian food. Rice, beans, meat, vegetables, snacks, and all those little things you don't think about when you're growing up.
And then you leave home and suddenly you miss them.
Exactly. I remember living somewhere else and looking for a restaurant that served food like the food I grew up with.
Did you find one?
I found a few places, but it wasn't quite the same.
Because it wasn't just the food.
Right. It was the whole experience. The smell, the people, and the way the food was served. Even the conversations around the table.
That's what makes food connected to memories.
Definitely. Sometimes I smell something and immediately remember being at home.
Do you have one dish that reminds you of your childhood?
I do. There's a dish my family used to make on weekends. It wasn't anything fancy, but everyone would sit together and eat.
Was that a regular family tradition?
Pretty much. And I think I miss that more than the actual food.
The time together.
Exactly. When you're younger, you don't think about those moments. You just sit down and eat. Later, you realize how special they were.
I think that's why hometowns stay with us. So many ordinary moments happen there.
Yes. You remember the big events, but you also remember small things. A walk after dinner, a conversation with a friend, or a Saturday afternoon at the park.
Or sitting in the same cafe for 2 hours.
You know me very well.
You've given me enough evidence.
Fair enough.
Do you think you would like to live in your hometown someday?
That's a difficult question. I think I could, but I know it wouldn't be exactly the same.
Because the city has changed?
Partly, but I've changed too. The life I have now is different from the life I had there.
Would you still know where to go for the best food?
Absolutely. Some things never change.
And the old bakery?
I'd definitely go back there. Even if the place looks completely different, I'd still want to sit at that same window.
Would you take your old friends with you?
If we could all find a free afternoon, yes. That might be harder than finding the bakery.
That's the adult version of making plans.
Exactly. Everyone has work, family, appointments, and a calendar full of things.
But when you finally get together, does it feel like nothing changed?
Sometimes, you can spend years without seeing someone, then sit down together and start talking like you saw them yesterday.
That's a special kind of friendship.
It really is. And I think hometowns are connected to that feeling too.
How so?
When you go back, you're surrounded by things that remember an older version of you. The streets, the buildings, and the places where you spent time.
Even if nobody there remembers you anymore.
Exactly. That's what makes it interesting. The place doesn't know you've changed, but you know.
That's actually a beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah, I guess that's why I like going back. It gives me a chance to remember where I came from.
And maybe appreciate things you didn't appreciate before.
Definitely. When I was younger, I couldn't wait to leave. I wanted to see other cities, travel, and experience new things.
And now you miss some of those old things.
Exactly. I still love discovering new places, but now I understand why people feel attached to where they grew up.
Do you think you would describe your hometown differently now than you did when you were younger?
Absolutely. When I was younger, I'd probably say it was boring.
And now?
Now, I'd say it was peaceful in some ways, busy in others, and full of ordinary places that became important because of the memories I made there.
That's a much better description.
Age gives you better vocabulary.
Or maybe better memories.
Probably both.
So if someone asked you what makes a hometown special, what would you say?
I'd say it's not about having the biggest buildings or the most famous attractions. It's about having places that mean something to you.
A street you walked on every day.
A bakery where you met your friends.
A park where you spent your weekends.
A restaurant where your family celebrated birthdays.
Or even a simple place that nobody else thinks is special.
Exactly. That's what a hometown is for me.
I really like that. And now I'm curious about the people listening to us.
Me too. I want to know where everyone grew up.
So tell us about your hometown in the comments. Where did you grow up? Was your city big, small, busy, or quiet?
Tell us what you remember most. Maybe it's a park, a restaurant, a street, or just a little place that still brings back good memories.
And tell us what has changed. Does your old neighborhood still look the same, or is it completely different now?
We'd really like to read your stories and learn about the places where you grew up.
And if you enjoyed this conversation, give the video a like and follow the channel for more natural English conversations.
Thanks for spending this time with us, Mia. This was a really nice conversation.
It was, and now I really want to visit your hometown someday.
You should. But remember, we're starting with the bakery.
Of course, I wouldn't expect anything else.
All right, I think that's enough hometown talk for today. I need some coffee.
You always need coffee.
That's true. Some things never change.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.